There is one thing you cannot have, and that is something for nothing. As a professor said recently, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Some time ago, I was in a store, and they offered a package of blades free if you took 2 tubes of shaving cream. Well, of course, they can't give blades free, as you know. That's included in the overall price. At least it's included in the overall cost of running business or in the customer's charge. Nothing is free. You must give your attention, devotion, and loyalty to some subject, and then you will get a response, of course. Come to the waters and drink. Yea, he that hath no money, let him come. Buy wine and milk without money, without price. But the price is recognition. Price is belief, conviction. There's always a price to be paid. Nothing at all is free. As salvation, people say, is free. No, it isn't. By grace are ye saved through faith, Paul says. And grace simply means that the love, the light, and the glory of the infinite responds to any man when he calls upon it. Call upon me, I will answer you. I will be with you in trouble. I will set you on high because you have known my name. So grace simply means the response of a supreme intelligence to your conscious thinking and acting. It's available to all men. It's not vouchsafed to certain people because of religious affiliation or creed or dogma. The nature of infinite intelligence is responsiveness. It responds to all men. When you try to learn to walk, or when you learn to swim or to dance, you repeated a thought pattern, act again and again, and now you say it's second nature. Second nature is the response of your subconscious mind to your conscious thinking and acting. Just like you drive an automobile, at first you no longer, at least now, you no longer, touch the car with intensity or grip the wheel with intensity. Not at all. You touch it lightly. And actually, it's your subconscious mind driving the car. It's effortless effort, in other words. It's effort without tension or stress. You paid the price, didn't you, in attention, devotion, and loyalty to a principle, and stick-to-itiveness, determination. Now you're able to drive the car, or ride the bicycle, or swim, or play music blindfolded. You repeated a thought pattern again and again with your fingers, and now you play automatically. It's your subconscious playing. So we pay the price for everything: recognition, acceptance, and conviction. Give your attention, your devotion, your loyalty to any subject. It will yield its secrets back to you. And if you do not give your attention to a particular subject, whether it's chemistry or physics or mathematics, well, of course, you will remain in darkness regarding that particular subject. I remember Mrs. Menier. She was a wonderful teacher in New York City. She lived in the Lucerne Hotel where I lived for a time in New York. And I used to speak for her occasionally. And she had a friend, a childhood friend, who would come, listen to her, take the books and all that, and she would borrow the old clothes that Mrs. Menier gave her, an old fur coat, umbrella, and things of that nature. And I said to her one time, why doesn't this woman listen to you, to your teaching? She doesn't have to borrow old clothes. Well, she said she's unwilling to pay the price. She's unwilling to give attention. She's unwilling to apply these truths. She prefers old clothes to wisdom. And I think Mrs. Menier was right. She preferred old clothes and second-hand umbrellas and things of that nature to the application of the mental and spiritual laws. All she had to do was give attention, devotion, and interest to the great truths. She didn't pay the price. She's unwilling to pay the price. And that's true of many people. She was very sympathetic and more or less kept on giving her these old clothes because, I suppose, of sympathy, which, of course, didn't do the person any good. At a summer seminar on the power of your subconscious mind in Denver some years ago, a woman said to me, could have anything I want if I'd only believe I had it in my mind. I explained to her that the only thing you cannot have in life is something for nothing. You can't. You have to pay the price. And that she would have to pay that price. She'd been praying for the healing of a skin condition for 10 years with no results. She had applied various astringent lotions and other topical medication without any appreciable relief. The woman had never paid the price, and the price for healing is faith in the infinite healing presence. For according to your faith, our belief is done unto you. Now, faith is not in a creed or a dogma or a church or a man or anything of that nature. If you have faith, for example, in chemistry, don't you study the laws of chemistry, of attraction, repulsion, the law of valency, and so on? Of course you do. And you bring forth marvelous compounds which bless humanity in countless ways. Your faith grows as you give attention to the great principles of chemistry, which are the same yesterday, today, and forever. So faith is attention, devotion, and loyalty to the one creative power. You have faith when you know thoughts are things, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you become. You have faith when you know that any idea, emotionalized or felt as true, is deposited in the subconscious mind and comes forth as form, function, experience, and event. Then you would have faith in the creative laws of your own mind. You would have faith that an infinite intelligence is responsive to your thought. When you call upon it, it answers you. And you have definite faith and belief in that. For example, men have been lost in the jungle, and they had faith that they would be directed and guided out of the place. They had no compass or sextant, didn't know anything about stars, where the northern star was or anything. But some men sat down and said, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leadeth me back to my battalion. He leads me to safety. He is guiding me now." And they followed the lead, that feeling that comes to men when you call on the Supreme Intelligence. And they were led oft times to the water where the river was flowing. And they would follow the river bank and then become rescued. That's the guiding principle. They paid the price, didn't they? Recognition, attention to it, calling upon it. Because if you do not call upon it and recognize it, it's the same as if it were not there. For this infinite intelligence will do nothing for you except through you. The price this woman had to pay was recognition of the power of the infinite, acceptance of that healing presence, and conviction that the healing is taking place now. For I am the Lord that healeth thee. She had been giving power to externals, saying, "My skin is sensitive to the sun. I am allergic to the cold weather. I believe this eczema is all over my arm is due to heredity. My mother had a similar condition. It's my genes and chromosomes that are at fault." Her mind was divided. She was double-minded. She had never paid the price, which was to give her attention to the infinite healing presence and the law of her own subconscious, to trust that law and believe in the healing presence and that it would respond and come to pass. She began to pray as follows: "The infinite healing presence which created my body and all its organs knows all the processes and functions of my body. I claim, feel, and know definitely and absolutely that the infinite grandeur and glory of the infinite are made manifest in my mind and body. The wholeness, vitality, and life of the infinite flow through me now, and every atom of my being is transformed by the infinite healing presence. I fully and freely forgive everyone, and I pour out life, love, truth, and beauty in all my relatives and in-laws. I know that I have forgiven everyone, because I can meet the person in my mind and there is no longer any sting. I give thanks for the healing which is taking place now, and I know that when I call, the answer comes." She repeated this prayer slowly, quietly, and reverently several times a day. She told me prior to my leaving Denver that a remarkable change for the better had come over her entire being, mentally and physically, and a complete healing began to take place before her eyes. She had to pay the price. by steadying and readying her mind to receive the gift of healing. Heretofore her mind was divided in its allegiance, as she was giving power to diets, the climate, heredity, and other factors. The Bible says, "Are you going to say it is hard for me? Is the Lord's hand shortened that he cannot save?" She began to understand that the scientific thinker does not make the phenomenal world or any external thing a cause. The cause of all is the Spirit within, the God presence. God is first cause and all-powerful, supreme and omnipotent, nothing to oppose it, challenge it, thwart it, or vitiate it. And the moment you postulate another power, you are divided in your mind, and your subconscious does not respond to your divided and confused mind. If you begin to press the up and down buttons in an elevator, you would not go up or down, but remain where you are. Faith comes through understanding the laws of your mind and applying them diligently in all your affairs. You can grow in faith in the same way that I mentioned previously that a chemist grows in his knowledge of chemistry, or in physics or mathematics, enabling the research man to bring forth wonderful compounds for the alleviation of human misery, as well as removing the drudgery of life. Scientists are gradually growing in faith by constant research into nature and her laws, and they are accomplishing great things. The farmer has to deposit seeds in the ground in order to get a harvest. He must determine whether he's going to have wheat, oats, or barley. He makes a decision. He plants the seed in the ground. He has to give to get. He has to give to the soil. In order for you to receive, you must first give to your mind. Before you can receive wealth, you must first impress your subconscious mind with the idea of wealth. And whatever is impressed in the subconscious is expressed on the screen of space. You have things, you know, by right of consciousness only. You must build the mental equivalent into your mentality, whatever it is you want. You do this by giving your attention and devotion to health or wealth or peace or harmony or anything that you want in life. For the infinite is within you. The gift has been given. God is the giver and the gift, and you're the receiver. What can you give God? You can't give God anything. God is that infinite presence and power in all, over all, through all in all, the life principle, the progenitor, the father of all. What on earth could you give the infinite? It's all things to all men. It's everything. It's the blade of grass, it's the apple, it's the air, it's the sea, it's everything. The whole world was here when you were born. The only thing you can give God or the living spirit within you is recognition, honor, loyalty, and devotion. That's the only thing. Call upon me, I will answer you. I'll be with you in trouble. I'll set you on high because you have known my name. The name is the nature of it. The nature is to respond to you. And you're told before you call, I will answer. While you're yet speaking, I will hear. So the answer is already within you. The answer to any problem under the sun. Intuition is within you. You can be taught from within. Telepathy is within you. Clairvoyance, all these faculties are within you. You can change your mind. You change your body, and you change everything. Change your thoughts and keep them changed. All that any person can desire is already present in the divine presence within you, in which you live and move and have your being. For God lives, moves, and has being in you. God is the life principle, the progenitor, the living spirit almighty within you. For God is spirit. They that worship him in spirit and in truth. The very fact that you desire something is proof of the existence of that which you desire. And the act of desiring on your part is a response, brings about a response from the supreme intelligence within you. Your Father knoweth what things you have need of before you ask. The need is already satisfied. The gift has been given, for God is the giver and the gift, and you are the receiver. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I hath is thine. All things be ready if the mind be so. Health is now, peace is now, the healing presence is within you, love is now, joy is now, power is now. Are you going to wait for for the power of the Almighty to flow through you is within you now. And say, the power of the Almighty is flowing through me now. Are you going to wait for peace? Says, someday you'll have peace of mind. The God of peace is within you. And that river of peace is flowing through you now. So the gift is already there. God is the giver and the gift. God indwells you. So all things be ready, if the mind be so. Accept peace and poise now. Accept inspiration now, guidance now. You must open your eyes. You must open your heart and receive. If you have something in both hands, you know, you must drop something to pick up something, mustn't you? You must get rid of the false beliefs in your mind and accept the truth, which is, for all things are ready, if the mind be so. Ready your mind to accept the gift. For I am the Lord that healeth thee. The healing power of God is within you. Heals a cut in your finger. It's right there. The surgeon removes tumor. He says nature will heal you. He removes the block. And so you'll always get a response. You have perhaps experienced this, that you try to solve a particular problem. You racked your brain, so to speak. You asked others to help you. You looked up all the books. You tried to find a solution, which the scientist or the chemist or the pharmacist sometimes does, or the research pharmacologist, or the doctor or the surgeon, or the astrophysicist. You struggle with the problem. You try to get an answer. And then you're exhausted. You sort of give up. And you turn it over to the deeper mind. And you go off to sleep, perhaps. Oftentimes the answer comes to you in a dream, in a vision of the night. Comes to you sometimes as you awaken in the morning. Pops into your mind like toast out of a toaster. This happens over and over and over again. You pay the price. Attention, devotion, loyalty, recognition of a supreme intelligence which knows only the answer. And when you surrendered, when you gave up, when you turned it over and said, there's that within me that knows, then the answer came. You engaged a supreme intelligence and an infinite presence and power which responded to you. So you gave it attention and you got the answer. Einstein loved mathematics, and it revealed its secrets to him. He was engrossed and fascinated with the universe and its laws. The unified field theory came to him in a flash, like a flash of lightning into his conscious reasoning mind. He gave his attention, devotion, and industry to the subject of time, space, and the fourth dimension. And his subconscious responded by revealing the secrets of these subjects to him. Edison experimented, meditated on, and explained the principle of electricity. He had an intense desire to light up the world and serve mankind, and electricity yielded its secrets to him. He paid the price by perseverance, stick-to-itiveness, and confidence, knowing that the answer would come. Yes, he gave it attention and devotion too. He loved that principle of electricity, and of course he brought forth countless inventions because he paid the price of attention, stick-to-itiveness, complete dedication to his project. Knowing in his heart and soul there was a subjective intelligence which would respond. He kept on keeping on, and his deeper mind never failed him. Self-condemnation and self-criticism are two of the most destructive emotions, generating psychic poison throughout your system, robbing you of vitality, strength, and equilibrium, resulting in general debility of the entire organism. Love is the fulfilling of the law of health, harmony, peace, and abundance. Love means that what you wish for another, you must also wish for others. When you love the other person, you radiate peace and goodwill to him and rejoice in his success and happiness. I suggested to a musician that in order to become outstanding in his field, he should pray as follows. God is the great musician. I am an instrument and a channel for the divine. The God presence flows through me as harmony, beauty, joy, and peace. The infinite presence and power plays through me the eternal melody of love. And when I play the melody of the one who forever is. I am inspired from on high, and majestic cadences come forth, revealing the eternal harmony of God. Within a few years he became extraordinarily successful. The price he paid was attention, reverence, and devotion to the eternal being from whom all blessings flow. A man who cannot make ends meet must pay the price, and the price is not hard labor and burning the midnight oil, but it is in building into his consciousness the idea of wealth. Man possesses all things by right of consciousness. You can work 14 or 15 hours a day. If your mind is not productive, your labor will be in vain. Is your mind productive? Wisdom is an awareness of the presence and power of God in you. Understanding is the application of that intelligence and that wisdom to solve your daily problems. The kingdom of God is within you, kingdom of intelligence, wisdom, power, and beauty, for the divine presence is within you, and all of God is where you are. You can work 14 or 15 hours a day, and if your mind, isn't at peace, if you're not full of geniality and cordiality and goodwill, your labor will be in vain, for faith worketh by love. You may have tremendous faith in your particular field of engineering, science, art, industry, or business, but if you lack cordiality, geniality, and goodwill and good feeling, you stumble and fall, don't you? So the kingdom of God is there. This means in infinite intelligence, boundless wisdom, and all the power of the infinite are lodged in your deeper mind. God's infinite ideas are available to you. If you only tune in and rejoice that infinite Spirit is revealing to you what you need to know. For God is Spirit, and they that worship him in spirit and in truth. So you worship no man on the face of the earth. Worship is to give your supreme attention, loyalty, and devotion to the one presence and power within you. For I am the Lord, that is my name. My glory you shall not give to another, neither shall you give my praise. I am, and there is none else, and from the rising of the sun to the setting of the same, there is none else. So you see, when you realize there's only one power, moving as unity, moving as harmony, there is no cause for evil anymore, because you've enthroned in your mind the one presence and power. A man who lived near me on Alpha Street some years ago told me that in 1950 he was bankrupt. He prayed for guidance and asked that creative intelligence reveal the next step. He had an overpowering feeling to go into the desert, and while musing there, the idea came to him to visit his father-in-law. He told him the tremendous potentialities he foresaw in that desert place, that people would leave Los Angeles, they'd come out from the east, and they'd build homes and hospitals and schools and all that in that desert place. And his father-in-law hired him as a salesman, promoter of the desert land. Today he has his own office and is a multimillionaire in real estate. The faculty of intuition is within you. He was taught from within what to do. He paid the price of recognition and of following the lead which came to him. The mere fact that you desire an answer means the answer is already present in your mental and spiritual world in which you live and move and have your being. Yes, it's there as an idea, there as a principle, as an archetype, as a pattern. For everything comes out of the invisible. You came out of the invisible yourself, and so did the whole world. So again, realize that in him you live and move and have your being. God lives, moves, and has being in you. God is the giver and the gift, and you must be a received. You must be a good receiver. Receive the gift. Many people are very poor receivers. They say the good things are not for me, they're for Mrs. Jones down the street, Well, everything has been given to you. God himself indwells you. The whole world is yours. The sun shines on the just and the unjust. The rain falls on the good and the evil. Mathematicians tell us there's enough fruit rots in the tropics to feed all humanity, rots in the ground. Go out into the desert and pour water will grow anything. You can have an idea worth a fortune. A creative idea, yes, it'll come to you too, but you must pay the price, recognize it. You may be a stenographer or a salesman. You may be a chemist or a doctor, but you can say, Infinite Spirit within me reveals to me better ways in which I can serve. God's creative ideas unfold within me, revealing to me new and better ways of accomplishing great things and of serving humanity. New ideas will come to you, yes, original ideas, and wonders will happen as you pray that way. But remember, you must recognize it is there, you must call upon it, you must have faith in it, not mumbo-jumbo. Some years ago I visited Jasper Park Lodge, Alberta, Canada, a very beautiful place, by the way, and the waitresses and the waiters and the men there, all from the various colleges in Canada, summertime. And they're all studying, studying along various lines, but they're all college students. One of the waitresses there had a very perplexing problem. I suggested to her that at night, prior to sleep, she turn over her request to her deeper mind. I said, you must recognize it only knows the answer, and go to it with faith and with understanding. I said, when you do, it will respond. You must pay that price. Price is belief and acceptance, just recognizing it's there. When you turn the tap, you expect the water to flow, don't you? Well, there you pay the price. You believe the water will flow. Then you use your fingers to turn on the tap. She spoke to her deeper mind this way. Reveal to me the answer. I know that you know only the answer. She lulled herself to sleep with this prayer. The next day she received a telegram from Ontario, which solved her problem. She had to pay the price by thinking about the answer, knowing that there was an answer. She gave attention to her deeper mind and received the answer in the morning. There's something you must do first, and the answer will come. The Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Yes, the God presence forever, controlling the universe, guides the planets in their course, causes the sun to shine. It's operating in your body, takes care of you when you're sound asleep. You must do something. You must begin to use it. Call upon it, it will not respond to you. If you do not call upon it, if you do not recognize it, if you do not believe in it, it's just the same as if it were not there. For the God presence will do nothing for you except through you, through your own thoughts, your own imagery, through your own beliefs and conviction. So you're told, get wisdom. With all they're getting, get understanding. A doctor has wisdom, for example. A young intern wanted to become a surgeon. His hand was shaking, He was nervous. And he had to take a glass of water, a tumbler full of water, up the stairs and down again for half an hour every day. It took him 6 months before he had a steady hand. He paid the price. He became a great surgeon. But he had to pay the price, attention, devotion, get rid of that nervousness, and take a glass of water full to the brim without using a drop. Would you give up after a while? Would you get bored and say, oh, I can't be bothered? Well, he wanted to be that, and he had to pay the price, didn't he? You don't want your hand to shake when you're operating, do you? You want a surgeon who's poised and balanced, serene and calm, and who's skilled, and has wisdom, isn't it? He's skilled. There's wisdom in the ophthalmologist with a laser beam, or he takes a detached retina and heals it up in a minute or two, or takes out a cataract. Well, he's skilled. He paid the price of attention. He was absorbed, fascinated in growth, study, and application. And now he's the great surgeon. He's called to Arabia. He's called to England and Ireland, different places. You can rest assured he doesn't have to pray for wealth or money. It just flows to him because he has skill. He has wisdom, dexterity. There's the mechanical wisdom, where you can't, for example, solve the problem. But the mechanic, he looks at the problem, sees it immediately, and solves the problem. He has studied mechanics, perhaps loves cars, and all their parts and so forth, gave attention, studied, applied himself, perhaps took a car apart, and read up all about the techniques and the modus operandi, and now he's very skilled. And one man recently says, Young boy going to school, he said, get $5 an hour because of his skill and his application, because of his intense interest and his devotion and application to his studies. So you see, you have to pay the price, and then it is done unto you as you believe. The universal life principle is speaking through you now as a desire, for God speaks to man through desire. You desire to be greater than you are. You desire health, love, peace, harmony, abundance, security. If you don't, you're abnormal. Your ultimate desire is to be sense of oneness with God, called the yoga of love. This life principle will reveal to you the way for the fulfillment of your dream. It knows how to bring it to pass. But you must open your mind and heart and receive wholeheartedly the gift of the one who forever is. Cast out of your mind all preconceived notions, false beliefs, and superstitions, and realize that before you call, I will answer. While you're yet speaking, I will hear. This means that you must order your mind and thoughts to conform to the age-old truth that whatever you are seeking already subsists in the infinite mind. It's already there. All you have to do is to identify mentally and emotionally with your desire, idea, plan, or purpose, realizing it is as real as your hand or heart. For example, you may have a new invention in your mind. You haven't committed it to paper, you haven't drawn a diagram. A good sensitive psychic or medium or clairvoyant can describe that invention. Why? Because it's already in your mind. And you're in rapport with the sensitive or the psychic, and they can describe it. Why? It's already there. That's the reality of it. As you walk the earth in the assumption that your prayer is answered, you shall have the joy of experiencing its reality objectively. The invention on the part of the inventor is as real as its objective counterpart. This is why your desire or new project is also real, subjectively speaking. That new book, that new play, where is it? It's in your mind. It's real. It has form, shape, and substance in another dimension of mind. I saw a girl dancing at Jasper Park Lodge. It was easy to see the wisdom, intelligence, order, and rhythm of the Spirit flowing through her. She said she was dancing for God, to use her own term. She received tremendous applause for work well done. That's wisdom, isn't it? You see the beauty, the order, the symmetry, the proportion, the grace, the charm. All that's wisdom. She deserved the praise and encomium uttered. She danced graciously, gloriously, and rhythmically. She told me that her teacher told her to always pray that God was dancing through her, and that God's beauty, order, proportion, and wisdom would always function through her. Struggle, toiling, moiling, yes, are not the answer. Reverence for the infinite, contacting the infinite power, that's the answer. The late Henry Hamlin of England told me that he was hard-pressed financially. He was the editor, and the book is still functioning, of course, called The Science of Thought Review. He was hard-pressed financially one day, and walking home in the snow, he suddenly became aware that the wealth and love and goodness of God were like the billions of snowflakes falling all over London. He said, I opened my mind and heart at the moment to God's infinite riches, knowing that God's wealth, love, and inspiration were falling in onto my mind and heart like the snowflakes were falling all over London. From that moment forward, wealth flowed to him freely, joyously, and endlessly. He never lacked for wealth all the days of his life. He changed his mind, and according to the change in his mind was it done unto him. London, the fog of London, the snow and everything else, his environment hadn't changed. The office was the same. Everything was the same, but he had changed. He had changed internally and became an instrument for the riches of life, spiritually, mentally, in all ways. There is no such thing as something for nothing. You must always pay the price, and the coin, of course, is attention. Give your attention to music or to electricity or to anything, and love it, and it will give its secrets back to you. Love truth, and say, I want to know the inner meaning of the Bible. I want to know what all these allegories and parables mean. And if you have a hunger and thirst, all the inner meanings will be given to you. Whether given to you from within, like Quinby, or through a teacher, what difference does it make? For all wisdom is within you. And wisdom will be transmitted to you as you realize that the infinite is within you. And as you practice music, or whatever it is you practice, and you fall in love with music, like Vera Ratcliffe, our organist, well, of course, men and women pay her in money too, and then also in praise. And she's invited here, there, and everywhere. She can't accept all the invitations because she knows a lot about music and loves music and has practiced it and given attention to it and paid the price. And wisdom is the principal thing. Wisdom is the presence and power of God functioning in you. And with all thy getting, you're told, get understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will make plain thy paths. Trust him and believe in him, and he will bring it to pass. Here's an interesting article. Here's a woman who paid the price. It's in the Times, May the 2nd, this year, 75. And the caption is by Greg Waskell, in the driver's seat. He said, Maud is still wheeling and dealing at age 103. You can rest assured she paid the price in serenity and tranquility and good humor and a love of the divine. This is what he says. She peers out from behind her Coke bottle glasses, walking in small, slow steps towards her pride and joy. For most people her age, pride and joy would mean great-grandchildren, or maybe even great-great-grandchildren. But for 103-year-old Maud Tull, the greatest thing in her life is her car, an electric job, despite the fact that she is 38 years past the retirement age. She recently passed the test for renewal of her California driver's license for the 11th straight year. Maud Tull is one of the 10 oldest drivers in the state. But that is just part of her story. As spry at 103, as most are at 65. She handles payments for a home mortgage company 7 days a week. Isn't that wonderful? I'll never retire, she said, because if I ever did, I'd starve. They just don't pay enough with Social Security for even an old person like me to eat these days. This way I never have to apologize to anyone. I can live the way I want and do the things I want without always being told what to do. Mrs. Tull lives in an Inglewood apartment house. Her best friend and constant companion, Ida Gleason, lives in a nearby apartment. Mrs. Gleason is another spring chicken. She's only 93. They ride in the crowded streets of Inglewood every day, bound for the market, the bank, or the local park, where they love to spend their time playing cards under a shady tree. Mrs. Tull began driving in 1965, after her husband died. Since then it has been she and Ida Gleason on their own. Mrs. Tull said she wouldn't have it any other way. I don't take any favors, she said. I earn everything I get. I've always made my own way, and I always will. But most of all, Mrs. Tull loves her car, a shiny brown and white electric ring two-seater. It only goes 20 miles an hour, but somehow it seems much faster. She carefully rolls back the cover that has kept the paint job looking new for 4 years. This task takes about 10 minutes. Then she's ready to unlock the doors. Again, the utmost care is used to make sure the paint isn't scratched. Finally, she climbs in, and Mrs. Gleason sits beside her. And with a gentle whirring sound, Mrs. Tull and Mrs. Gleason are off for another busy day. That's the end of the article. It's interesting, isn't it? She loves life. She paid the price. She loves life. She's interested in life. She isn't interested in a handout or things of that nature. She's interested in contributing to humanity and a great love for life. Thou wilt show me the path of life. It's interesting. Serenity and tranquility, humor and laughter. That keeps you young. You know, Patience never grows old. Love never grows old. Joy never grows old. Harmony never grows old. Laughter never grows old. Goodwill never grows old. Gentleness and kindness never grow old, or compassion or understanding. These are eternal, aren't they? And the life principle never grows old. It was never born, it will never die, and water wets it not, and fire burns it not, and wind blows it not away. So that life principle in you is eternal. We grow old when we are bitter, when we are resentful, hateful, when we are full of self-condemnation, ill will. These emotions and thoughts corrode our soul, and we grow old, regardless of our age chronologically. Here's a man who paid a price. Yes, a hunger and thirst, and a great interest too. A vision gave an inventor an idea that changed the world, by the Reverend Webb Garrison, published in a newspaper some time ago. And I'm quoting now. The man who invented the steam engine, forever changed the world, got his idea from a vision. The engine was given to me from the outside, James Watt said. I did not create it. I only accepted it. Watt was born in Scotland in 1736, had little formal education. He earned his living as a repairman in Glasgow. I could repair nearly every kind of mechanical device, Watt once said. One day in 1764, a customer brought a defective engine into my shop. This one event was to change my life completely. A Newcomen engine was a very crude steam engine. It was occasionally used in mines to pump out water, but it was never very efficient, consuming a lot of energy and accomplishing very little work. While Watt was fixing the engine, he conceived the idea of an entirely new kind of steam engine that will overcome all the faults of the Newcomen. But he lacked the knowledge to convert his idea into reality. Then a vision came to him one Sunday afternoon in May 1766, while he was walking in a Glasgow park, thinking and dwelling upon the engine. In the vision, Watt said, he saw a steam engine in complete detail. Before I had walked much further, the whole thing was arranged in my mind. The next morning he went to work, and in less than 12 hours he had built a new engine that efficiently harnessed the power of steam. He patented the idea in 1781, and 1782 won additional patents for improvements. There have been few changes in it since 1782. Watt's invention was soon put to work in factories, replacing animals and men, and triggering the start of the Industrial Revolution. That's why I said to you, you can have an idea worth a fortune. You can have an idea putting millions to work, yes, thousands to work. James Watt paid the price. The coin that he paid was attention, interest, and devotion, realizing that he could bring forth an engine that would serve humanity. Here's another man that paid a price, written by Bill Banowski, called Try and Try Again in the Herald Examiner, April 1775. Of course, there's nothing new about it. You've read it in your history. But however, it's interesting to show that you must pay the price. And he says there are a number of qualities which contribute to personal success in life. Some, like being born with good parents, or in a favorable country or social class, or with natural physical and mental endowments, are completely out of our control. But the ones that really count are the ones that we can do something about. And among these, nothing is so important as the quality of persistence. You may pick at random from a library shelf the biography of any man or woman who has made a lasting contribution to humanity. Some were extremely brilliant, others showed uncommon persistence. Let's take the case of Albert Einstein. In grade school, he was such an unimpressive student that when his father asked the headmaster what profession young Albert should pursue, the headmaster replied, "It really doesn't matter because he will never make a success at anything." Einstein became one of the premier intellectuals of the 20th century, and probably the greatest physicist of all time, more by reason of determined persistence than because of easy genius. Many similar cases can be cited. We're celebrating, he says, the 100th year of Winston Churchill. In school, he was a very slow student. As a public servant, his career was thought to be rather dull in the 1930s, and he had failed to achieve most of his dreams and goals. But by staying alert and alive, he was prepared when the rare opportunity for leadership came at age 66. At a time when most men are retired, he became in 1941 the British Prime Minister, and rallied not only his own countrymen, but all the Western world. Because of his bulldog tenacity, he came to be regarded as the greatest political leader of the 20th century. He paid the price, didn't he? Public speaking too. Attention, devotion, loyalty, yes. Persistence, stick-to-itiveness, refusing to take no for an answer, always realizing that there was a power that responded. The story of America's greatest statesman is likewise not a story of easy success, but one of dogged persistence. He failed in business in 1831, was defeated for the state legislature in 1833. He was elected to the state legislature in 1834. His sweetheart died in 1835. He had a nervous breakdown in 1836. He was defeated for Speaker in 1838. He was defeated for Elector in 1840. He was defeated for Congress in 1843. Finally, he was elected for one term in Congress in 1846, only to be defeated again for Congress in 1848. He was defeated for the Senate in 1855, was defeated for Vice President in 1856, was defeated again for the Senate in 1858. Finally, in 1860, he was elected President of the United States. There were just a few rough spots in the life of Abraham Lincoln. Franklin Roosevelt, who was President of the United States longer than any other man, was severely crippled by polio and served all of those years of depression and war in a wheelchair. One of his great strengths was a powerful use of public speaking, especially at a time when the radio had given direct access to all the American population. These famous fireside chats sounded informal and off the cuff. But at Hyde Park, New York, is a glass case displaying 9 drafts of one of Roosevelt's famous speeches. The first was rough, the second improved, the third showed still greater improvement. In the 8th draft, only one word had to be changed before the 9th and final draft was run. Trifle, said Michelangelo, makes perfection, but perfection itself is not trifle. You perhaps thought these fireside chats, I heard many of them, I'm sure you did too. You thought, oh well, he's talking off the cuff, you know. No, think of the hours, perhaps the days, the experts, and all these who gather together to give him all the data and the information, the specialists, and then the speech is put together. And he goes over it again and again and again. And that's perfection, isn't it? Perfection is not a trifle. And of course you know that his talks had a tremendous influence. Churchill was also a spellbinder who appeared to speak completely extemporaneously. But as one of his biographers correctly noted, Sir Winston Churchill spent most of his life working on his impromptu speeches. You've heard him, I heard him talk one time, and you think, you know, that he was talking, you know, off the cuff, as they call it, impromptu talk. No, for there were days, yes, and weeks behind it. He would pace the floor, we're told, and talk to himself, perhaps for hours, perfecting it. Press on, yes. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education alone will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Well, let's by Bill Banowski try and try again his article in Herald Examiner, and remind you of some history, of course, which you know about, which you've read about in school, I'm sure. But it's good to be reminded that they paid the price. They had to pay the coin. Persistence, stick-to-itiveness, determination, attention. For attention is the key to life. And it's the key to success, isn't it? If thine eye be single, thy whole body is full of light. Eye is spiritual perception. It's spiritual awareness. And if you put this God presence first in your life and realize supreme and omnipotent, it's the only presence, power, cause, and substance, and you give all honor, allegiance, and devotion to that, and realize it's your guide, your counselor, your way-shower, your troubleshooter, adjuster, your father, and your paymaster, and the source of all blessings, and there is no other power. Think of the wonders that would happen in your life as you gave attention to that great truth. Yes, your attention to it, your devotion to it, your loyalty to it. But the minute you give power to sticks and stones and created things and men and women and the weather and this fan that gives you a stiff neck and all these other things, look at the many gods you have. One condition doesn't create another, one circumstance doesn't create another. That means you're not willing to pay the price. And the price is the one power, the one presence, the one cause, and the one substance, and there is none else. That's the great illumination. That's the final word. When you awaken to that, you are a real truth student. Then and only then are you a truth student. Now be honest with yourself and ask yourself this question. Do I really believe in my heart that there is only one presence as the living spirit within me? It's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniaction. It's all there is. It's the very ground I'm walking on. Do I then give any power to the phenomenalistic world or any created thing? Do I give power to stars, to the sun and the moon, the weather, men and women, sticks and stones, or karma, or past lives, or things of that nature, or voodoo, or evil entities, or devils? There isn't any such thing. There's no room for any devil. In all, over, all, through all in all, I am, and there is none else. And from the rising of the sun to the setting of the same, there is none else. Are you willing to pay that price? You see, you must pay that price. And then you're illumined. Then you're free. Because from the rising of the sun to the setting of the same, there is none else. I am the Lord, that is my name, my glory you shall not give to another, neither shall you give my praise. I am the Lord, that is my name, yes. I am as being life awareness, there is none else. There's only the one presence and the one power, the one cause and the one substance. Be wonderful when you come to that conclusion, the definite conclusion. Then you would be like Troard. They said to him, you know, what would you do, Mr. Troard? He was a judge in the Punjab of India, wrote an inimitable textbook. And Harry Gaze, who used to speak for me once in a while, was a great friend of Troard. And Troard used to come and hear and lecture in London. And they said, what would you do, Mr. Troard, if all the black magicians were praying against you and using the death prayer, cursing you, in other words, pouring out imprecations? You know what Troard said? He said, I'd say cock-a-doodle-doo. Why? He knew where the power was. They had no power. Suggestion is a power if you accept it, but it's not the power. The power is the one power, moving as unity, no divisions or quarrels in it. How could spirit fight itself? How could one part of spirit fight another part of spirit in any part of the world? So that's the greatest of all truths, friends. And the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Jealous in the sense you mustn't know another. Not jealous from a human standpoint, because the minute you give power to any other created thing, that moment your mind is divided. You're the double-minded man, unstable in all your ways. Let not such a man ask anything of God, for he is like the surge of the sea, tossed to and fro, a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. You're like the woman that I just told in this cassette that was blaming the climate in Denver, blaming genes and chromosomes, heredity, and blaming it on the sun, and blaming it on everything, And the cause was within herself all the time. She learned to pay the price and got a healing. On May the 6th in the Inquirer, 75, it says, "The doctor healed of crippling disease. Medicine failed me," he said. This is a medical doctor. "Then I was cured by the miracle of prayer," by Lee Harrison. This is what he says. Dr. Phil Miles once was skeptical about supernatural healing, but no more. For when a bizarre disease attacked his body, gnarling and paralyzing his limbs, it was faith, not modern medicine, that cured him. It was a miracle, declared the El Paso, Texas physician. Joy shining in his eyes. "It's given me," he said, "new life. I am walking, living, laughing proof that there is a healing force, much more powerful than any man on this earth." For 7 years, Dr. Miles had suffered from the strange disease, which caused his arms and legs to jerk spasmodically and twist into rigid positions. Dr. Miles, formerly on the staff of the prestigious Walter Reed Medical Center, called in some of the finest neurologists in America, but they couldn't even diagnose his illness. Finally bedridden and growing worse every hour, the heart-sick young doctor turned in desperation to his only remaining hope, faith in God. He asked a Christian neighbor to come to his bedside, help him pray for his recovery. The doctor will never forget that incredible day. Every moment, every happening is etched into his memory. "I was sobbing uncontrollably as I uttered the words of that prayer," he recalled. "No sooner had the final words left my lips, when to my utter astonishment my hands, which had been clenched like claws for 2 days, suddenly began to open. A second later, the rigid muscles in my feet began to relax. I realized I was witnessing the power of the supernatural. Within 2 days, he said, he was back on his feet. And today, more than 2 years later, he is still healthy and working again as a specialist in obstetrics and gynecology at Willem Beaumont Army Medical Center in El Paso, Texas. Dr. Miles, 36 years of age, said the unknown disease struck him without warning in 1965. "I was examined by some of the best neurologists in the country, but they couldn't positively diagnose my illness. He said, in my heart I knew I had a form of multiple sclerosis." Well, here's a man who paid the price. He tried everything, and then he surrendered to the God presence which made him, which created him, which knows all things. He prayed the fervent, effectual prayer of a righteous man availeth much. He called in a neighbor. They prayed together. A humble prayer, but a complete surrender, recognizing a great truth in his heart. And sobbing while he prayed, there was nothing wrong with that. It means humility. It means a complete surrender, turning the whole thing over to that which is, which knows all and sees all. For the Bible says, it puts it this way, I am the Lord that healeth thee. I am the Lord thy God, I will come and heal thee. I will restore health unto thee, and heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. Who healeth all thy diseases? Who satisfieth thy mouth with good things? Who restoreth thy youth like the eagle? Yes, are you going to say, it is hard for me? Is the Lord's hand shortened that he cannot save? So you realize that every man has to pay that price. And that price is attention, recognition, acceptance, and conviction. And you can pay the price too. All you have to do is call upon it. It answers you. It's impersonal, no respecter of persons. Let us dwell upon these great truths. But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy, But with God all things are possible. Before they call, I will answer. While they're yet speaking, I will hear. According to your faith be it unto you. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. He shall call upon me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? God in the midst of you is guiding you now.